question for the ages, isn't it? How to be responsible with money, a common topic, never goes out of style. But dealing with older kids can be even more challenging than when you're trying to teach the little ones. I spoke with Jennifer Johnson of Blue Rock Wealth Management about how to steer them in the right direction. Jennifer, it's a topic that really we need to study all the way through our lives. We're talking about being fiscally responsible, but when your kids reach that high school age and maybe they have jobs and that type of, how do we teach them how to budget correctly that early?
Yeah, certainly by the time kids get in high school, you want them to be learning the basics of money. By the time they get that first job, or maybe it's allowance, you want to let them have some leeway to maybe make some small mistakes then. Give them a chance to decide where they splurge, and that way they don't make big mistakes later. Hopefully they're learning from those small mistakes in high school.
So obviously you would encourage them to get a job in the high school years because that'll kind of teach them a little bit of responsibility, I would assume.
I think so. Yeah, you learn how paychecks work, what the withholdings will look like, what you're left with really at the end of the day, and that way they understand what they'll have to live with, and then you give them a little bit of chance to spend that money, to decide how they're going to allocate those dollars. Maybe they're getting a debit card at that point or a checking account. I would stress to the parents, though, give them a little freedom to make some mistakes, but make sure you watch over what they're doing.
So now they move on to college and there's a little bit more independence there. How do we keep tabs on them? What do we advise them?
Yeah, I think the biggest danger is as kids go off to college is with debt. There's a lot of focus now and attention paid to student loans and the dangers of taking on too much student debt that then they struggle with into their adulthood. But we can't forget about credit cards. Oftentimes it's when a kid goes off to college that they get their first credit card. And those can be really dangerous because you can really rack up a lot of debt at very high interest rates. So I would stress as kids go into college, if they're getting a credit card, that is a good opportunity to build credit, but it's also an opportunity to ruin your credit.
All good advice. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for your time today. We all need to we can take these lessons even as adults. That's so true, because we never stop trying to figure out how to balance things. So one thing that I noticed, the common thread from Jennifer was you got to be able to get into their accounts and look and make sure that they're okay. She did say, because my twins just went to college or are going and went, and one of the things she said was get them a credit card, but have a very small limit to it, and then help them to manage that, because when you're in college and you're just racking things up and not paying attention, then you got to pay that off in addition to student loans later. That can add up.
And she's right. That's what my parents did for me. And like in school we take a lot of classes where we're like, when am I actually going to learn how to use any of this?
Yes.
I took a finance class in high school as an elective, and we learned how to balance a checkbook. We learned how to write a check. Really useful stuff. So I think the earlier you can learn these skills, the better.
True.
Yeah, I didn't have a credit card until actually I got out of college and going to my master's program. My dad is a financial planner, and he always taught me only spend what you have until you've learned the skills to really manage what you have before you start managing other people's money.
It's true. It's very true. I'll tell you a quick tip for parents that have kids that may be going to college maybe next year. Get them a credit card in high school, manage it tightly, and let them develop a credit history.
Yeah.
Because if you want to do a student loan and you're trying to do it in their name, if they don't have a credit history, you can't do that.
Okay.
Yes.
Financial advisor.
There you go.